Yes. Now I'm transmitting from my base station. I just arrived from the airport, came from Hamburg, Germany, still feeling the jet lag and the economic class in the aircraft also. Back to you, JA4FL, PY2BBQ.
This is KA4FL for the Medical Amateur Radio Council DVNet, which we're calling to order for this Saturday, 1500 UTC. We meet every Saturday at 1500 UTC here on the Quadnet Array, and really do appreciate the technology the volunteers of the Quadnet offer to us, because without their assistance, we wouldn't be able to participate in the way we do. We'd all be fragmented into different digital modes without their transcoding. So once again, I'll offer my appreciation ahead of time, and at the end of the net, I will offer my appreciation once again. So our net is here to provide a discussion for current medical events and issues, and I'm operating today out of my Delray Beach QTH in Palm Beach County. And we let it drop one. So being a net for current medical events and issues, let me reiterate that this is open to all amateurs, not just members of the Medical Amateur Radio Council. All human beings have an interest in medicine and the health of mankind, and we're here for all individuals, not just the members of our group. So please do participate if you happen to be monitoring and you don't feel like making a large contribution to the dialogue. We'd still like you to check in so we know you're here, and we encourage you to participate. But we do like to know who's with us and assist us in the way that we tailor our conversations, make sure that it's inclusive to people of all backgrounds. Obviously, if we're just a group of physicians on a particular day, or our level of discussion may omit some of the explanations that are appropriate for other individuals. James will press. Let me let it drop one. A little bit of housekeeping here. We are a directed net, so we're going to work through me as net control JAA4FL. And we also need to be cognizant of the fact that the quadnet array is a complicated connection of all types of entry points, hotspots, repeaters, handy sticks. So for everything to harmonize, to synchronize, for the technology to do so, make sure to not tailgate the person in front of you. And when you do pause, after you pause and key up, give it a few seconds, up to 5 seconds before you speak, to make sure that everything's working properly and you're not dropped in your transmission. Also, we would like to honor a 2 minute repeater rule with the transmission drop. And it's actually not a bad idea to do even less, just in case for some reason your transmission drops for other reasons. It's nice to keep those to a 1 minute cycle. And so me being too loquacious, I'm going to drop one. Are there any stations that have emergency traffic for that? If so, go ahead and make your call at this time. This is the Medical Amateur Radio Council, DVNet, and at this time, do we have check-ins that are on limited time, or if you're mobile and think you might be dropped, please go ahead and make your call now to AA4FL. None heard. Well, thank you for being here today with me. I do have workers in the background. I tried to shut all the doors. They may be playing music. If anyone can hear it, obviously that's not allowed. Please let me know and I'll ask them to go shut it off. So it's time for regular check-ins. So far I have AA4FL, N9OML, PY2BBQ, WJ8B, K3FZT checked in. Are there any other stations, whether they're Marco members or just individuals that are monitoring, that would like to check in to the net, Medical Image Radio, DV net, that is, at this time? So make your call to AA4FL. No one else heard yet at this time. I hope Chip comes by, because I do have some information to talk to him about with the grand rounds, something that might be helpful. In addition, working on the ether, we had a board meeting on the 12th of September on Zoom. It was recorded, and that link will be in the ether. The officers and directors have already had it distributed to them, the link. But if anybody wants that sooner, just let me know and we'll get that to you. It was a very productive meeting, and we're typing up the minutes, as I say now, so it'll give me a chance to stimulate that desire to do the work. There's so much going on, as there always is in everyone's life. And you should see the pile of historical records I've received from Bruce, KM2L, and from Warren, KD4GUA. We're trying to collect archives, and Michaeline and I want to get everything in Google Drive and make a lot of it available to the members and get that in the ether this time. And we let it drop one.
Vibraflix.
The board meeting was well attended. We're going to try to do those each quarter. And a good portion of the directors were there, probably about half, or approaching half, as well as the line officers. And it's timely to do right before the ether that goes electronically. It helps me to get more information and harmonize the efforts of markup. And hopefully that will continue. Others are getting involved, and the fact that you are all here makes you involved as well. Not too much else from here. I did put in, I wouldn't call it a job application, but I did let the College of Dentistry know that I would be available in January to take a more active role teaching. I have been volunteering and passively teaching, working mostly with engineering students for the radio club. But the significant connection about the Gator Amateur Radio Club is they just received a grant to purchase a Flex Radio amplifier and tuner, and we already have the antenna tuner and also rotor control. So the potential to use W4DFU as a kilowatt amplifier remotely is now going to be quite possible for NET. So if I have a permanent job on the faculty, it will also further that connection and ability to do so. I'm going to turn next on the list is N9OML Howard.
Good morning, Jay, and everybody on the net. Sorry for my absence. So, trying to get back to trying to be active. I have no real news from this end. I just hope everybody's doing well and enjoying fall. N9OML.
Howard, thank you, and thank you for being here. I'm well aware of the situation that's kept you off, and we do pass along our sincere appreciation of you and knowing what you've gone through and your family situation. Just reason why I can come back to work in January is I've been dealing with family, parents, deaths and sicknesses and illnesses since 2016. That's why I sold my office and retired early and just getting ready to go back to work. And it just takes time to mend mentally, emotionally, physically, and I wish you the quickest of recovery. PY2 BBQ Hilton. How are you this morning? Well, in your case, afternoon. I do.
And unfortunately, I could not participate our meeting on the 12th last Monday because I was traveling. I was flying from São Paulo to Germany. During this week, I attended a meeting, a bariatric and metabolic surgery meeting in Hamburg, and it was a very nice meeting with many specialists from around the world, and it was very profuse. But unfortunately, I couldn't manage to participate our Zoom meeting. I'll try to have a look at it and the recorded uh, version. I'll just get the link you have just said, Jay. And that's the story. Just arrived today, a few hours ago, and still feeling the jet lag. A 5 hours difference from Sao Paulo to Hamburg. So back to you, Jay, for FL PY2 BBQ.
Thanks, Elton. Thanks for being here. I'm going to post that link right now to the netlogger for you so that you'll have it. I'm glad you had a chance to spend time with your contemporaries in the field. It's so important to do so. And I hope there was a little bit of time for fun. That's the one thing I miss. And, Marco, for me, has been a lifesaver during this time of stress and not being able to be with my regular group of professional peers at the university that I've worked with for all these years. But I haven't missed camaraderie. Marco has been there for me. And it's a constant in my life and very important. And some of my best friends are in Marco. And I think during COVID, hopefully others found that to be equally helpful. And I know lately some of the people that have been involved in the past haven't been on. Life is to normal again. And there may be a little bit of digital net and Zoom exhaustion since people can get together and do things live in person. But hopefully we'll get a renewal here. That even if we can find a way to give it a different mission, a different mission indeed. Yeah, Andy, WJ8B. Good morning to you, Andy.
Well, good morning, everybody on the net. Good to hear everybody. This summer's been very, very busy with family activities. Just quite a few minutes for that reason. Uh, Slowing down a little bit now that school's in session, so still going to be missing next week and 2 weeks from next week, as both those days are travel days. My youngest son lives in Los Angeles area, and his wife has to go for business travel in Europe. So and she's going to be gone 3 weeks. So my wife and I are going to be there for 2 of those 3 weeks and help take care of the 2-year-old granddaughter. I mean, the 5-year-old granddaughter. The 2-year-old granddaughter is actually going with mom because mom grew up in Austria. And her mom is going to take care of her over there. So it's going to be an interesting 2 weeks. Um, and it's a little easier to take care of a 5-year-old than a 5 and a 2-year-old. So that'll be interesting. So medically, locally, not too much going on. My daughter is overworked, not so much because of COVID, but because of the staffing shortage. He's going on a 5-day trip, short vacation without the teenagers. And she's going to work almost right up till the time she gets on the plane. Probably will work within a few hours after getting off of it. So she had to go in because there was just no staff at all to keep the ICU open. So that's not always a fun thing, only a break for time. The other medical thing that went on, my next door neighbor has been my neighbor for 22 and a half years. Unfortunately, has developed dementia. And 2 days ago, his wife showed up on my front step shaking, and he had become violent. So I had to go over and diffuse that situation and make sure they did the right thing, which was basically call 911, and he's still hospitalized in geriatric psych ward. So I know the outcome there is probably not going to be good, but having gone through that with several of my own relatives over my entire lifetime. So not too much else going on here radio-wise than a little HF because the sunspots are up. Stay on digital. On Wednesday night, I run a net, the National Capital City D-Star net at 9 p.m. on Wednesday. I've run it for 3 weeks now, and turns out to have to do that one more week. So anybody's welcome to stop by there at 9 p.m. Eastern on REF, D-Star Reflector 62 Alpha. So that's all I have. Back to you, Jay. WJD.
It's great having you here, Andy. And we'll miss you for those few weeks, but understand what you're doing. And yeah, it's important to be there to help children and grandchildren. And now I've got mine up in Gainesville, so certainly can relate to it because our kids rely on us quite a bit to help out. It's obviously a help of joy. There's a lot of pleasure in it as well. K3FCT, Steve, good morning. Go ahead.
AA4FLN Group. This is K3FZT, Steve and Philly. Well, yes, as we age, others around us do too, and lots of life changes. Saturday, I was at a funeral mass and memorial for a guy who was 2 years ahead of me in training and then stayed on faculty. And as the physicians in the group all know, you learn so much and develop such a tight relationship in those residency training years. We've stayed in touch, seen each other periodically. Still grateful for everything he gave me and indeed my specialty of emergency medicine. Jim Roberts was his name, but a personal loss too. Beyond that, the sky is blue, the sun is out, the temperature is in the high 60s, getting to the high 70s. So remembering that life is beautiful. On the COVID front, trending down locally, my spouse and I are going to wait until October, maybe even the second half of October, to get the bivalent vaccine because we are traveling in January and February. Let me reset. We will be in Florida from about January 16th to the first week of March, making most of the time in the Naples area, though with stops in Boca Raton to visit her sister and up to the Tampa Bay area to visit my sister. Beyond that, not much, so let me hand it back to Net Control. This is Steve in Northwest Philly, K3F is ET.
Great having you on board, Steve. Thanks for stopping by. Are there any other stations for late checking? So go ahead and make your call now. Not others at this time. I'm going to open it up for just friendly conversation, no particular discussion thread. I do have a question for you, Steve. This is a Philadelphia question. My cousin is getting married, my cousin's child, still a cousin, at the University of Penn. I guess some garden, arbory center. But their theme is a Philadelphia garden, October garden party. Is that a tradition in Philadelphia that you're aware of to have garden parties over?
Well, I can't say I'm familiar with a broad theme of garden parties, but there are plenty of gardens around Philadelphia. Longwood Garden and Chanticleer, both of them south of the city, down towards the Wilmington area, are broadly known. And the Philadelphia Horticultural Society sponsors what's called a flower show, typically in the late winter, early spring, though COVID has thrown that schedule off, and I'm not sure what the plan is for 2023. But I mention the flower show because I am told it is the largest such gathering east of the Mississippi, and it runs a week, and the hordes in town speak to the attraction. My wife's the gardener. I'm sure I've never mentioned it here, but in exchange for our kids going to Quaker schools, my part of the prenuptial was that I don't do yard work. So there you go. A lengthy answer. Hope some of it is interesting, if not helpful. This is K3F. This is
chuckling here. It's quite funny. Humorous. Sorry, my cell phone's ringing though. Let it go to voicemail. I do need to talk to that person though. But I was told in this invitation that it was Philadelphia October Garden Party. It's a garden party attire. So I mean, I looked it up on the internet. Really couldn't find anything that was specific to Philadelphia garden parties. We asked, and they said, well, you don't have to wear, your wife doesn't have to wear a flowered dress, but something a little less formal. And for me, they said, well, something like an open collar shirt and a coat if you want. But it's just interesting that they're going to have an outside venue for the wedding and for the dinner also. The end of October, doesn't it get pretty chilly in October in the evening? The end of October, the last weekend. Steve, isn't that a chilly time?
Well, that's Halloween weekend, and the 31st is Halloween, and it can be chilly, but early evening it's usually not bad, and for you Floridians, just invest in some silk long johns and a sweater, and you'll be entirely comfortable. K3FCT.
This is AA4FL, the Marco Digital Voice Net. This is AA4FL's Net Control out Delray Beach, Florida. For anyone that's listening, you're welcome to check in. We're just having a friendly discussion today on the race. It's open to all amateurs. And I appreciate that information, Steve, but I'll dress accordingly and hope that it's not too chilly. It won't be me that's complaining because I said wear a coat. It'll be my wife. She probably want to wear something flowered and sleeveless. I don't know about silk long johns for her. Thanks for the explanation. I'm looking forward to coming up to Philly. It's been a little while, and I was hoping to drive, but hopefully we'll get out in the countryside to Lancaster and points west and do a little exploring for the following weekend, having a wedding in New Jersey. And we'll try to give you a shout out while we're there. Are there any other stations listening, not Marco members, that would like to say hello? Go ahead and make your call. Okay, nothing heard. Hilton, DY2 BBQ. Well, this is AA4FL. Hilton, in the past we talked about maybe having something in Brazil in the future. We plan it well ahead of time. I also brought that up with Etsu. He was on the board meeting the other night in Japan, and he'd love to have a Marco meeting in Japan. And we're having trouble getting people to meet here in the United States. So maybe if we set some dates far in advance, if nothing else, could be a social outing and have some kind of an agenda, do it around some kind of maybe a radio meeting. He said there was a big one in Japan. He suggested that. What do you think there on the Brazil side, Hilton? Go ahead.
A4FL and the group UI2BBQ returning. Yes, that really is something that we have discussed before, but I didn't go ahead on checking out the possibilities. We had talked about Fernando de Noronha PY0F station, perhaps would be a nice opportunity. But I really need to look for a nice place with good conditions. I know that in Fernando de Noronha Island there is an amateur radio station there, but he's not a class A, what enables him to would enable him to operate as single band in HF, so he doesn't do so, but he's equipped to do so. So perhaps we could use his station there. That would be a possibility. Another thing I had mentioned are uh, uh, sometimes there are groups of physicians that go to the Amazon area and work with the army and in campaign hospitals and do every kind of procedure there. And perhaps we could link an amateur radio activity with this kind of activity too. I had to figure out something and give you the background, the feedback. Jay, wait one. Okay, PY2 BBQ returning. So that's really something we could manage to do here in Brazil. And there was something I would like to tell you too. Well, I went to Germany. It was an opportunity to bring some radio gear, and I brought a new CW key, so Vibroplex Vibro Cube, and I'm very impressed with it. And this month, this month is the anniversary of a radio club here in São Paulo that I participate. It's called Rancho da Amizade, which means Friendship Ranch Radio Club here, and we are using the special call Zulu Whiskey 2 Radio Alpha, Zulu Whiskey 2 Radio Alpha, and I'm trying to call every day in CW. Of course, this last week I couldn't work, but probably later today in 20 meters and at night in 40 meters, I'll try to make a call in CW for so those who want to contest Zulu Whiskey 2 Radio Alpha. That will be me in the other side, okay? So back to you, Jay, for FL PY2 BBQ.
Well, thank you, Hilton, for those of you on HF this weekend, and take Hilton up on that. I'm here without a radio right now. Hilton, it would take a lot of planning in advance. I mean, it's something we wouldn't want to do for 2 or 3 years, I'm sure, but it doesn't mean that we can't discuss it. If it's a matter of going into the Amazon, maybe we can also coordinate. We have a lot of faculty from Brazil at the University of Florida, particularly in the College of Dentistry. I wouldn't mind coordinating that with the University of Florida's medical and dental school and seeing if that can be something that faculty and students come on. If we have enough forward planning and make it a marketable venture as well. So give you a few more people to work with versus just the few people that might come from Marco. It's always nice to network and to get groups of friends that can be effective in supporting efforts in future years. So that will bring some more meaning to the organization. So let's think about that. As far as the Japan one is concerned, if he did that around the meeting in Japan, we can probably open that up to general amateur community and make that a Marco trip that others can join in on. They may find that interesting as well. All right. Anybody else that would like to say hello and have a discussion? I'll make a list. This is AA Force Home, the Medical Amateur Radio Council, DVNet. Go ahead and make your call. Yvonne Garcia.
Comment K3FZT.
Okay, I've got the chip check in here, M5RTF, and I have a topic I want to bring up here, Chip, in just a minute with you. But let's hear from Steve with his comment, K3FZT. Go ahead, Steve.
I got pulled away a bit during Hilton's discussion, but if we go to Brazil, Manaus, Manaus Opera House, if memory serves, the white and black Amazon. It's a thing to behold. Uh, Hilton will be a lot more accurate than me. Thanks so much, Jay. I'm done. K3FZ.
Okay, Hilton. Steve, will let Hilton comment that in a minute. I'm sitting here in amusement or amazement. I'm sitting on the porch looking at a canal behind our house, and there's three iguanas on the far side, and a very large one stopped and raised its head up, looked like it was making a vocalization, like we'd see a hound do. Which I'm curious if that's if it's mating season or not. But he's walking on. He's quite large. Uh, Not my favorite animals, iguanas, but we have a lot of them here, and I don't remember them growing up in Miami in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, but there's certainly not a shortage of them now. Uh, Go ahead and continue, Hilton.
Okay, for FL in the group, UI2 BBQ. Yes, that's something to be managed from the beginning. All right, there are many different possibilities. Not only, of course, as you said, the Amazon area or the island in Fernando de Noronha, but much more things we could manage and involve, of course, other hands. That would be very nice, especially if we also have a period of any contest to be working at the same time with some special call. That would be great. That would be really great. In the Amazon, there are many, not many, but a few good jungle hotels where you stay right inside the jungle, and I'll have to look for those possibilities. To tell you the truth, I have been quite a few times in the Amazon, and most of the time in the city in Manaus, providing surgical training, laparoscopic surgery training for some local teams over there. And I have not been in the jungle itself. So, but I'll certainly have a look at all the possibilities and bring some feedback to you. A4FL PY2 BBQ.
Well, thank you to both of you for raising those discussions, and it's something that can bear fruit. Making the connections from Marco to other organizations. We're too small to do everything by our own, but if we have parallel organizations involved, teamwork, it certainly takes the burden partially off of us and makes it more fulfilling and enjoyable. Plus, it gives us a purpose beyond just what we traditionally can do alone at Marco. I'm going to turn it over to Chip N5RTF. And Chip, before I turn it over to you, I had mentioned to the group that we got a grant to W4DFU to complete the remote flex station there. And I've also hopefully will be teaching there more actively. It raises the possibility of remote operation using the new amplifier, everything remotely operated of the Flex software for the grand rounds in the future. I'll keep you posted as they get that installed, but I am the trustee responsible for the equipment, so it's a possibility it will be completely remote controlled by computer. N5RTF, AA4FL, Marco, digital voice net. Go ahead. Good morning, Jay and the group. I've been having technical problems. Still can't get my hotspot back up and running after rebooting it. But I am on Ruby V finally. The Amazon sounds fascinating. That's probably the only place on earth that has more humidity and mosquitoes than where I live. The psychiatry is so culture-bound. You travel 200 miles and have to relearn most of what you know. And it would be pretty useless anywhere other than just where you're practicing it in time. The possibility of the remote station sounds wonderful. Would they allow access on an ongoing basis, say every Sunday morning, or would that have to be negotiated with someone inside or here? And when do you think all this will be together up and running? The grant was just awarded yesterday, and they said the money will come in the next 2 weeks, and the students will have it on order. I'm not sure how long Flex is back ordered on the equipment, but I would guess the end of the semester, by November, would be the goal for the students. And being that it's a student-run station, they will be taking care of administering the station to make sure everything is up and running technically. So, we certainly would want to try it out. I mean, aside from the net, and go through the paces and the practicality of it. I'm game for that. And again, the students need a mission. It's important or they won't have that location. We need to protect the location. I can't think of a better way than having the Medical Image Radio Council use that station for its international grand rounds, for its grand rounds. Over. Well, sounds wonderful. My suggestion was a couple of months lead time. I hate to make extra work for you, but I would suggest that you probably run the first grand rounds remotely, and just see how it works since you're more familiar with the setup than anybody else. Find out what the problems might be, and then we'll do another one afterwards with a guest speaker. See what you think of that. Well, QSL, let's get a chance to get everything, as you say, up and running first. And once I've proven that I can use the station remotely, regardless of the grand rounds, we can do a trial grand rounds. And we probably don't want to necessarily do it every week that way. I mean, we still have Warren doing the grand rounds, so he'd like some help. So it just gives us some potential for help and to set a standard where we, may be able to find other club stations, college club stations that have similar needs. There's lots of college club stations that need a reason to exist that go beyond just a hobby. So this could sort of be a prototype. And again, the grant's coming, so at least we know that the potential is there, and the rest of it can be explored. It's no concrete plan, but certainly something that we can consider. And thanks for considering it, Chip. M5RTFAA for all the Medical Amateur Radio Council, EVDA. Yeah, I'm sort of looking at this whole thing as the multi-layer TCP/IP stack in which the physical hardware hopefully will become irrelevant, and then we're operating at higher levels. We can come up with a system that works, then we can duplicate it elsewhere and on other hardware. So I'm so excited about this. In my idea. Well, with the Flex system, it's pretty much transparent, so it's just using a computer or the control software. The amplifier, all the other aspects of it will be totally transparent and automatically switched, the tuning and such, to be explored. Again, the antenna control, I don't think Flex has that built into their software directly, but I believe there is a separate software package. And of course, everything is assigned its own IP address. So I'm going to have to get together with IT at the College of Dentistry, the health center. They've accommodated us totally so far, never a question. We have remote control of the 6600. So it's just into the antenna switch. So it's just a matter of getting all the other devices, IP addresses, and make sure the network switch and all the technology can be handled by the students that run the club. I certainly don't try to reinvent the wheel, and they need access at other times, so they're going to have it up and running. It's just Sunday mornings they would allow us to use it. I'm sure there'd be no issue with that. Over. Yeah, and we also have some members who are contesters and have used remote stations in the past, and perhaps we can get some advice or help from them as well. By the way, I am using a separate computer on a Linux machine using the hose that Hills recommended for the streaming audio and the recording. So I appreciate that very much. That frees me up to talk on eStar here and have
Okay, great.
Well, thank you, Chip. And again, thank you, Hilton, for offering up that information. That Chick's been able to put it to use. Andy has some comments here, so I'm going to turn it over to WJAP.
I have a Flex radio system, and I've had it for a little over a year now, and don't quite have the resources to buy the amplifier, but I have, the 6400. It's up to date on the software, and I indeed use it remotely, primarily to do voice and FT8. You can do CW on it remotely. There's sometimes a little hesitance and delay in doing that, but it does work on TCP. There's one thing I can't control through the Flex software, and that's to turn my remote antenna tuner on and off. So I utilize an IP, you know, power plug control just to turn that on and off when I need to when I'm out.
K3FZT.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I'll be looking forward to your input, and we also have Dave K. and to Mr. Callsign Rodman, who is extremely experienced with remote operation with Flex equipment. And of course, if the grant, the station couldn't have afforded the integrated station too. It's very expensive. And before I turn it over to you, Steve, the reason why the grant was written and honored is during COVID, particularly the station was problematic to use in a hospital complex by students. You don't want them coming in and out of the building, and it's also flooded with research. So on weekdays, there's a lot of research going on. So this will allow them to operate their station from the College of Engineering, which most of them are housed, and the actual department is responsible for the club, whereas the station is through my trusteeship. So there's a good relationship between the two. So we'll certainly explore all that and bring people with experience with Flex into the fold. K3FCT, go ahead, Steve.
So I've become interested in a very straightforward programming language called Node-RED. And the Flex group is the preponderance of those using Node-RED in the amateur radio community. There's a ham radio hyphen Node-RED groups.io if you're interested. Tons of files of what are called flows, which allow remote management and fully integrate the Flex software with purpose-built software to control rotators for beams and other ancillary equipment. Furthermore, Flex themselves at Hamvention is talking up the value of Node-RED as an integrating tool. I bet, Jay, if you mention this to people in the School of Engineering, you'll get an earful. K3FZT.
Well, thank you for that information. I wasn't aware of that. K3FCT AA4SL. The rotor controls a 403A product, and I know it's IP assigned, so Certainly they have their own software that can be networked, so it'll just be a matter of the computer user to have both things running at the same time. But on that being said, obviously the students would have a great academic interest in pursuing the maximum use of their station, and I will bring that up to them and might ask you for more information. In fact, if you can give me a background summary and give me the group verbally, or if you can just shoot me an email, I'll be seeing the students here in a short. We're actually having a Zoom meeting in a week and a half to go over it with our alumni group. So all the possibilities. Again, that networking between different groups, having students in the College of Engineering being responsible for the club station itself, for the equipment, gives us the support. We don't really have to do it as Marco. We just get the same benefit that all the other club members get, just use the station. And obviously, if there was a contest like the college contest that weekend, we just wouldn't use the university station for it. I would say the majority of the time there would be no conflict. This is AA4SL for the Medical Amateur Radio Council, DVNet. Any other comments about the subject before we call the next so close to a week? Go ahead and make your call. Well, thank you for all of you participating. I feel this will be a very fruitful recording that was made here today. Thank you to both Hilton and Chip for recording it, because we do have some groups that need to hear this conversation. And rather than reinventing the wheel, let's share that with the students and with any other members that have flex equipment, and we'll take it from there in doing our planning. And everything we talk about, it's easy to come up with ideas and thoughts. And making them reality is what's more difficult. But this particular project certainly has a lot of harmony here. There's a lot of aspects to it. They're symbiotic, and this looks like it's got a good chance of proceeding with some help from Marco as a side product of what's going on at the university. 7-3, everyone. I look forward to next week for those of you who can attend. I know some of you are going to be precluded from participating. And we'll get this a lot of the information into the ether as well. 7-3, everyone, bringing that to a close. Appreciate the Quadnet Array for their expertise in allowing it to happen. This is AA4SL, the Marco Amateur Radio, Medical Amateur Radio TV, concluding for today. Good man, Jerry. By the way, I have a Flex 1800, if anybody remembers what that is. It's a tiny little thing, but it's the first waterfall radio that I ever had in my RCS group. Hey, QSL, I have one too, Chip. I actually have an SDR 1000, the original, and it's not processing audio anymore. And you got to use an interface, and they're not even supported by Windows 7. I don't even think. I mean, it goes way back there. So it's in a box as a historical archive piece for me. I'm glad to hear you have that little one too. It's good talking to you, and it sounds like something fun to pursue. I'm always looking for ways to bring relevance to that station. The greatest threat we have is turf wars. Other colleges and the university that might want the room. We're in a physical facility services room. They've had us in there for 41 years, no cost ever. So they appreciate us being there. They need security. We need security. It's not likely somebody could go after it, but they're going to build a new dental school. You need to make sure they keep the room there as well. It's AA4SL. That's close, so it's not net here. But I'll stay on for a few minutes to have friendly conversation. Go ahead, Chip, on 5RTF. it also to speak with you, Jay, and the rest of the group. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off recording at this point and kind of already. Thank you for doing the recording, Chuck, and thank you for going ahead and stopping it. By the way, I have a Flex 3000, and the university has a Flex 5000, so those are FireWire devices, and that's getting harder to do and has latency issues too. Unless you have really a dedicated machine that's just totally there for processing sound and not used for anything else, and even then it's finicky about which FireWire cards you use and what's running on that software. It's not very practical, but we do have those. Just as a mention, I guess we have a Flex